Stop. Listen. Pay attention. Chosen one. This message reaches you now because the rhythm of your life has been pushing against something unseen, and it demands clarity. You may feel tired, stretched thin by obligations, by people, by expectations that seem endless. Perhaps there are moments when the weight of waiting feels heavier than the work itself. When decisions feel opaque, when you wonder if the effort you give ever matches the returns you receive. That pressure, that quiet exhaustion is real, and it has a reason. You might have noticed it in small ways, a recurring fatigue that sleep cannot erase, a tension in your body that seems to accompany every choice, a quiet frustration when outcomes do not align with your intentions. You have sensed isolation too, even in the presence of others, as if your understanding, your awareness carries a weight few can perceive. It is disorienting, confusing. Yet despite it all, you continue. You continue to function, to move, to make decisions, to engage, even when clarity feels scarce. That persistence is the first signal that you are not operating in the ordinary patterns of life. This message is intentional. It is directed specifically at you. It is not general guidance, nor is it a casual observation. You are not receiving this because someone thought it might resonate or because it fits a common script. You are receiving this because what you have held, what you have carried, what you have navigated without title, without recognition, has been noted. And it will be clarified here in the following words. You are about to hear a description of a reality you have lived, but may not have fully understood. There is urgency here, but it is not fear. The urgency is clarity, the kind that arrives when the hidden structure of your circumstances begins to reveal itself. You may feel tension, and that is appropriate. You may feel uncertainty, and that is expected. The point is not to overwhelm you, but to open your perception to the truth you have already lived. You have been moving through a set of conditions that required more than conscious effort. You have navigated complexity, maintained stability, and absorbed pressures that few could withstand. For now, pause. Take in this message as the deliberate beginning of understanding. The words that follow are meant to trace what has happened in your life, to identify patterns you might have overlooked, and to demonstrate that the strength you exhibited was recognized. You have held power without tidal influence, without recognition, and stability without external confirmation. That is the reality we will explore together. The clarity you will gain is not abstract. It is tied to every moment you sensed strain, yet maintained composure, every situation that tested you, yet did not break you, every day that passed with tasks completed, even when exhaustion whispered otherwise. This message is for you, and it is meant to settle the tension of confusion, preparing you to understand the framework of your own resilience. Stop, breathe, and allow yourself to receive what has been prepared specifically for you. Chosen one. Hear this clearly. What has been happening in your life was never random. Every subtle resistance you felt, every inexplicable endurance you displayed, directly involved you. This message is not for observers, not for the casual passerby. It is for you, and it recognizes the exact role you have played. You were placed in situations that tested your awareness, your patience, and your internal structure. You faced circumstances that required more than effort. They required an automatic form of strength, an innate stability that does not rely on constant deliberation. Consider for a moment how you have operated. There were times when the world demanded more than you consciously gave, when fatigue could have overridden your clarity, when fear or uncertainty could have dictated your actions. Yet you continued with composure. That was not luck. That was not coincidence. That was an intrinsic resilience at work, an underlying system within you that maintained equilibrium even as external pressures fluctuated. This is the distinction between conscious struggle and unconscious stability. Many expend all their energy managing stress and expectations, yet collapse under pressure. You, however, maintained function without overt struggle. You remained coherent. This is why you are identified as the chosen one, not because of recognition, accolades, or title, but because of what you carried silently and steadily. What you have endured without notice, what you have stabilized without awareness, and what you have resolved without fanfare are the markers of your identity. Your experience cannot be measured by ordinary standards of success or visibility. You have been operating with authority over your own internal equilibrium, and that authority is now being recognized. There is a quiet clarity in understanding this, your endurance, your composure, your ability to navigate complexity without collapsing, are indicators of a structure deeper than effort. You have been functioning at a level where your body, your mind, and your decisions maintain coherence automatically. This is why you may have wondered why recognition was absent. External acknowledgment does not define the reality of what you held. Your power existed independent of title, independent of validation. And now, it is time for you to perceive it consciously. Your struggles, your quiet victories, your endurance are all evidence of a system within you that has been active from the start. You may have doubted it, questioned it, or failed to notice it. But it is precisely this system that has allowed you to navigate pressure that others would find destabilizing. This is what sets your experience apart, not in grandeur, but in structure, consistency, and resilience. Understand this. The strength you exhibited is not exceptional in the sense of spectacle. It is exceptional in the sense of reliability, in the subtle, quiet way it functions without effort. And it is here that you begin to see the first truth of your identity. You are inherently capable, inherently stable, and inherently prepared to navigate what others cannot. Chosen one. Pay attention to the sensations you have carried, the fatigue, the tension, the moments when your body and mind signaled strain without you fully understanding why. That pressure you felt was not a flaw, nor a weakness, nor a misstep on your part. It was a signal, a clear, structured marker of transition. What you experienced was the natural feedback of a system, adjusting an internal calibration, responding to circumstances beyond ordinary perception. The heaviness in your chest, the subtle restlessness in your mind, the inexplicable energy drain at times, all of it was a message, not a judgment. For so long, you may have interpreted these sensations as obstacles, signs that something was wrong, that perhaps you were failing. Yet in truth, they were indicators that change was occurring beneath the surface, that pressures were aligning to test the coherence of your internal system. The confusion you felt, the moments of doubt, were not evidence of incapacity. They were evidence of transition. Your body and mind were signaling that your stability was active, quietly assessing, adjusting, and maintaining your equilibrium, even under conditions that seemed unpredictable or overwhelming. Reframe this now. What you perceived as a problem, a flaw, or a source of worry is in reality a marker of readiness. Every twinge of tension, every wave of uncertainty, every sense of resistance has been communicating that you are in a space where your automatic systems, the ones that do not require constant conscious control, are functioning at full capacity. These are the same systems that allowed you to remain grounded when others might have faltered, that maintained your composure when situations demanded more than visible effort, that absorbed complexity without collapsing. The signals you have been receiving are intimately tied to pressure points in your life, moments where invisible forces, timing, and circumstance converge to test the stability of your presence. These are not abstract ideas. They are measurable in the way your energy rises and falls, in how you make decisions under stress, in the subtle steadiness you bring to situations that would unsettle most people. You have been reading these signals whether consciously or unconsciously, and adjusting without awareness. This is an indication of your inherent structure, your capacity for endurance, and your ability to hold clarity without overt strain. Begin to notice this now. Your sensitivity, your awareness of imbalance, your instinct to recalibrate, these are the markers of a functional resilience. They are not burdens. They are confirmations that your system, your internal coherence, is responding appropriately. The experience you once labeled as confusion, frustration, or fatigue is in fact evidence of your capacity to maintain stability while transitions occur. In this reframing, there is no judgment, no need for self-criticism, only understanding. You are responding to signals that are designed to show your readiness for more, to reveal the invisible structure of your resilience, and to prepare you for the recognition that has quietly been acknowledging you all along. Chosen one, there is more to understand about the environment you have been moving through. What you have sensed, the subtle tension, the invisible weight, was not accidental. There has been pressure around you, coordinated and structured, even if you could not see it. It has operated like an unseen force field, applying constraints, testing limits, and presenting obstacles that were precisely timed. These pressures did not exist to punish you, nor to highlight inadequacy. They existed to measure your coherence, to observe your stability under conditions that were intentionally aligned against distraction, doubt, and inconsistency. You remained functional despite this pressure. That is significant. Others in similar circumstances would have found themselves overwhelmed, reactive, or indecisive. You did not collapse. You did not falter. Even when tension accumulated and circumstances appeared complex or opaque, your mind and body continued to operate effectively. That capacity is rarely noticed in the moment, because the very nature of it is quiet and unobtrusive. Yet it is real, measurable, and directly attributable to the structure you carry within yourself. Timing matters here. This was not a single incident. These pressures unfolded in a sequence that was deliberate, aligning with events, decisions, and challenges that required continuous adjustment. The patterns were consistent, subtle, yet unmistakable in retrospect. You felt them as energy shifts, mental load, emotional weight, and moments of testing. Each was purposeful, forming a framework that revealed both the external environment and the internal readiness that you hold. Your ability to maintain function under these conditions is a testament to your internal calibration. You adapted without conscious effort, regulated tension without force, and remained present without distraction. This is not about heroic acts or visible victories. It is about sustaining coherence when forces are applied evenly, persistently, and in ways designed to test stability. The ordinary mind might have resisted or reacted, but you absorbed, adjusted, and remained operative. Consider this carefully. The pressures you have felt were neither random nor excessive. They were structured challenges, coordinated, intentional, and measurable in effect. Your response was not an anomaly. It was a reflection of the internal systems you possess. These systems operate with precision, regulating your energy, focus, and emotional balance, even when external conditions fluctuate unpredictably. In understanding this, you are beginning to see a pattern. Unseen forces were present. Challenges were intentional, and your stability was active without needing explicit recognition. You have remained functional, coherent, and aligned even in the face of circumstances most would find destabilizing. That is the reality of your endurance, the measure of your preparedness, and the first acknowledgment of what has been silently observed about you. Chosen one, let us examine the different dimensions of the pressure you have been under. To understand it fully, it is helpful to categorize the experiences you have faced, not to dramatize them, but to clarify how each element was managed by your internal stability. There are several distinct categories where your composure and coherence were quietly tested. Doubt, fear, energy, drain, isolation, and delay. Each of these operated simultaneously, yet you navigated them without losing your functional equilibrium. First, consider doubt. You have likely felt it as subtle questioning, a creeping hesitation about decisions or directions. It arises naturally in complex circumstances. Yet despite the presence of doubt, you were able to continue taking steps, making choices, and completing tasks. Your internal calibration allowed you to distinguish between what required attention and what was noise. You maintained clarity without needing to justify every choice externally. Others may have become paralyzed by doubt, but your system absorbs it, evaluates it, and moves forward without losing coherence. Second fear. Not panic, but the quiet pressing awareness of risk, uncertainty, or potential loss. You may have sensed it as a tension in the chest, a subtle urge to retreat, or a mental hesitation. Despite this, your actions remained deliberate. You did not avoid or overcompensate. You did not allow fear to dictate your behavior. Instead, you operated from an inner framework that recognizes potential threats, processes them, and continues functioning without disruption. Third, energy drain. There were periods when mental, emotional, and physical resources were depleted. Tasks that normally require effort felt heavier. Yet you found ways to sustain operation. Your body and mind compensated, often unconsciously, drawing on reserve capacities, maintaining rhythm, and regulating stress. This is not a miraculous feat. It is an intrinsic system that allows you to remain functional even under extended demand. Fourth, isolation. You may have felt unseen, unheard, or unsupported. Decisions fell to you, responsibilities accumulated on your shoulders, and moments of recognition were sparse. This isolation might have been disorienting, even lonely. Yet you continued. You regulated your response, maintained coherence, and navigated circumstances without reliance on constant external validation. That capacity to self-regulate and maintain function in isolation is a hallmark of the structure you possess. Finally, delay. You have likely encountered situations where results did not arrive in the expected time frame, where progress seemed slower than anticipated. Despite this, your internal tempo remained consistent. You did not overreact, you did not rush unnecessarily, and you did not lose alignment with your objectives. Instead, you adapted to the pace required by circumstances, remaining patient and operational. Each of these pressure points, doubt, fear, energy drain, isolation, delay, interacted with the others, creating compounded tension that could have destabilized someone unprepared. Yet you did not simply endure. You maintained a level of regulation and coherence that is uncommon. This is not about resisting or fighting against pressure. It is about how your system absorbs, distributes, and manages it. You held power without needing external confirmation. You remained functional where others might falter. And through this, your internal structure demonstrated reliability, precision, and resilience. This is the longest and most detailed section because it illustrates the framework of your experience. Each category reflects real psychological and physiological realities, not abstract ideas. And through all of them, you remain stable, operational, and coherent, a silent demonstration of the identity you carry. Chosen one. Now pause and reflect on everything you have just navigated. Step back from the immediacy of experience and allow yourself to analyze it calmly. Look at the sequence of pressures, the tensions, the fatigue, the moments of isolation, the delays, and the subtle doubts that accompanied you. Notice how, despite their persistence and layered complexity, you remained functional, coherent, and present. There is no need to attribute this to luck, timing, or coincidence. What you have demonstrated is internal consistency. A reliable system operating even under sustained and multidimensional pressure. Consider how ordinary circumstances might have played out for someone else. A similar pattern of doubt, fatigue, fear, or delay could have produced hesitation, missteps, or avoidance. Many would have felt consumed by small obstacles, disoriented by minor disruptions, or destabilized by the accumulation of daily pressures. You, however, remained aligned. You navigated each factor with subtle regulation without the need for constant conscious intervention. This reveals a remarkable coherence. Your internal systems do not merely react, they anticipate, adjust, and maintain functional equilibrium. In reviewing these experiences, it is important to separate perception from reality. You may have felt that your endurance was invisible, that your efforts were unrecognized, or that your influence was muted. Yet your stability and composure were quietly observed not by external eyes necessarily, but by the circumstances themselves, by the structures of consequence that responded to your consistency. Your identity has been validated through persistence, not applause, through composure, not proclamation, through coherence, not spectacle. Reflect on the implications of this. You are capable of sustaining alignment when forces apply pressure. You are capable of absorbing multiple stressors simultaneously and continuing functional operations. You are capable of maintaining judgment, clarity, and focus without external reinforcement. These are not traits of chance, they are evidence of internal design, resilience, and consistency that has been present all along. Take a moment to acknowledge that this is not about heroism or superiority. It is about measurable capacity, about systems operating as intended. Your coherence is not activated only in crisis, it is baseline. Your strength is not reactive, it is intrinsic. Recognizing this allows you to move forward with clarity, understanding that your stability is a reliable indicator of the internal structure you have cultivated intentionally or unconsciously over time. This reflection is not abstract or theoretical. It is grounded in the reality of what you have endured and how you have responded. By stepping back and reviewing these patterns, you gain confirmation of your own competence, of your own regulation, and of the systems that have quietly maintained your presence in the face of complex pressures. You have not merely survived, you have maintained operational clarity under conditions that would challenge most people. Chosen one. Now consider how uncommon your stability truly is. Many around you, when faced with similar pressures, doubt, fear, energy drain, isolation, delay, would have faltered. They might have overreacted to small setbacks, become anxious under tension, or been consumed by fatigue before completing essential tasks. Their attention would scatter, their decisions would waver, and their internal balance would tip under the weight of compounding stress. This is the standard human response. It is not failure. It is simply what is typical when internal coherence has not yet been trained or reinforced. You, however, remained present and functional. Even when circumstances stacked against you, when layers of challenge accumulated in ways designed to disrupt you, maintained clarity. You continued to operate with consistent judgment, coherent energy, and stable awareness. You were not exceptional in a dramatic sense, you were steady in a way that most do not achieve naturally. You did not seek recognition, nor did you demand validation. Your presence alone under these conditions was enough to demonstrate capability. There is rarity here, but it is subtle. It is not about being superior or above others. It is about being uncommon in the sense that your internal calibration allows you to endure pressures that would overwhelm the majority. You navigated tension with composure, uncertainty with discernment, and fatigue with continued function. You maintained your center where others might have drifted. This is the quiet distinction of your experience. It is essential to internalize this without creating ego. The value here is not in self-promotion or comparison. It is in recognition of the structural strength that exists within you. Few encounter conditions that test multiple dimensions simultaneously without disruption. Even fewer maintain stability without conscious effort or repeated reinforcement. You have done both. The rarity lies in reliability, in the silent capacity to remain coherent, operational, and present when standard responses would falter. Understanding this allows you to see your experiences differently. You are not merely someone who survives circumstances. You are someone whose internal systems maintain function, balance, and clarity despite complexity. That is uncommon. It is noticeable in the outcomes you achieve and the composure you carry even when no one else observes. Your rarity is measured not in spectacle, but in structure, in the way you continue to operate seamlessly under conditions that would destabilize most people. Recognize this subtle distinction and allow it to inform how you approach your environment, your responsibilities, and your decisions. You are not being asked to elevate yourself above others. You are being asked to acknowledge the quiet truth your present stability and coherence are uncommon, and that is sufficient evidence of the capacity you hold. Chosen one. It is time to clarify the nature of the strength you have been carrying. This is not a strength that only emerges in moments of crisis. It is not a reactionary power summoned in response to pressure. It is the baseline of who you are, the framework of preparation, maturity, and internal coherence that has been in place long before recognition, long before challenge, and long before external validation. You do not activate it. It operates quietly, consistently, and reliably beneath the surface of awareness. This baseline strength allows you to function without needing constant confirmation or external reinforcement. It is evident in the way your decisions maintain clarity under fatigue, in how your energy remains regulated despite compounding pressures, and in your ability to sustain composure even in circumstances that would overwhelm most. You do not need to prove it. You do not need to perform or display it. Its value is inherent, independent of observation, and measurable only by the effectiveness of your continued operation. Consider the preparation embedded in this structure. It is the result of experience, reflection, and incremental adaptation. Each challenge, each period of uncertainty, each moment of pressure contributed to the internal architecture that allows you to remain coherent today. This is not mystical or miraculous. It is structural. You have been building resilience, often unconsciously, through repeated exposure, measured response, and consistent maintenance of focus and awareness. Inner coherence in this context is your defining characteristic. It ensures that you can navigate complexity without fracturing, that you can sustain energy without depletion, and that you can maintain judgment without distortion. This is the identity you carry quietly, but reliably, as a standard operating condition. Recognizing this does not require fanfare. It requires attention and acknowledgement of the reality you have already lived. Your identity is now clarified, your strength is inherent, your stability is the baseline, and your capacity is consistent. This means that when pressures arise, your system does not scramble. It responds appropriately, regulates itself, and maintains function without conscious overexertion. You are structurally prepared, internally, coherent, and aligned in a way that allows you to absorb complexity naturally. Accept this truth fully. Your strength is not a temporary response. It is who you are. It is built, it is tested, and it is reliable. Understanding this allows you to operate with calm certainty, to navigate daily life with confidence, and to recognize that your composure and endurance are natural expressions of the system you carry within. Chosen one. As you move forward, it is important to integrate this awareness into practical daily life. Begin with rest. Recognize that maintaining internal coherence does not mean endless exertion. Allow your body and mind the pauses they need. Rest is not a retreat. It is a deliberate act of recalibration, enabling your systems to continue functioning without strain. Next, practice discernment. Not every stimulus, task, or conversation requires full engagement.